Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Okay, all right. I think everybody's ready. I'm going to bring my guest in. Welcome to this episode of 39 Down, our Let's Chat segment where we discuss everything health, wellness, continue to learn and grow in this journey of abundant life. So today, our guest is, let me bring her up. Here we are. I don't like this background. That's better. Okay. All right. So Liza Boubari is with us today, and Lisa is a clinical hypnotherapy therapist, a stress management therapist, and a domestic abuse consultant. And she's the founder of Health Within, a healing center. Transformation begins when you overcome anxiety, fear, and pain only to gain inner calm, trust, and joy. I like that. I like that. And I invited Lisa today to discuss her, to share with us from her expertise in stress management. So that is our topic today, our not so hidden stress issues and how we can manage them. So welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much. It is so good to be here. Thank you for the invitation, my dear. You
Yes.
are
Oh,
an
thank.
amazing human being, my dear.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I heard about you actually through my husband. He said that he heard you say some very insightful things. And I said, oh, I need to get her on the show. And so I'm really excited and I'm thankful that you were able to make time for me, for us, for this audience. Let's kind of dive into. First, tell us a little bit about what you do, what your center, Health Within, is about.
Yes, actually, the name of our business is Heal
Oh,
Within.
heal. I'm saying
It's
as I
okay.
read it, heal within.
Heal,
It sounds so
health,
much
it's
better.
all the same.
No, heal within sounds better. I'm glad you chose
Yes,
that.
right. So, over 25 years ago, I was diagnosed with my third ovarian cyst, and my gynecologist told me that he is scheduling for me to go and have surgery a month from the time that he diagnosed it, and it was about this size. And because it was the third time I was being diagnosed, and I had already had two surgeries prior to that, um, I started crying and everything. I came back to the office that I used to work at the law firm. I was an assistant to attorney. And the HR director saw me crying and she says, "What's going on?" So I told her that I've already had two surgeries, and he told me that I was going to have my third surgery and for me to get ready. She said, "You know what? I'm going to send you to an acupuncturist." She
Mhm.
sent me to the acupuncturist that she knew of, and on our second session, which is within 24 hours, he gave me a sheet of paper and said, "Did you know that hypnosis can help with ovarian cysts?" I'm like, "What?" And he asked me if I knew of someone, and I did. So I called her the next day, and within less than 6 sessions, I realized why my body was creating the cyst. And if it was not through hypnotherapy, I think I would have had more complications if not the third surgery was adamant. So since then, I have not had any complications, family complications. Today, I am proud to say I have been certified as a clinical hypnotherapist, stress management consultant, went back, got my certification in anger management, domestic abuse, and have been practicing since then. So I left the law firm to do the work that I do now because
Right.
there was a correlation, a direct correlation between our mind and our body, and that is what we do.
Right, right, and often some of the things that we do, professionally or things that are happening in our lives are creating, those are manifesting in those different symptoms that we don't really see the correlation. And so for you, it took the path of hypnotherapy. For others, you go through, is it energy healing, or is it just food, or is it yoga, or is it more the standard a clinical therapist, psychologist, a psychiatrist. There are different ways to get to understanding, what is going on with us. But the key is that mind body connection. It is so important, and so for your path led you to where you are, and you are helping so many others understanding, that connection to healing
Right. The
within.
power of our subconscious mind,
Right.
see, is where the root cause was. So the
Mhm.
subconscious mind is everything. I think it's the core. Our patterns, behaviors, everything is formed. So
Mhm.
that's what it is.
Yes, yes, and often when we try to do it ourselves, right? We try to, well, I can, get over this and get over that. But when you said the subconscious mind, right? There are
Hmm.
things that what we try to do ourselves, with even with books, with journaling, with all of those different techniques, it kind of just still relies on the conscious. But there's that other layer of the subconscious where, again, different methods, but yours being, hypnotherapy, that works for you and that you're now practicing. We have to really really understand that the subconscious is really, I mean, it's really, is it 90% or 95% really of what we do is really based on our subconscious. There's only so much we focus on the conscious because it's what we see and what we know and what we experience, but there is so much more behind that drives us.
So I
S-
like to say that our mind is in three parts. So
oh, yeah.
to explain it best, it's like a computer or a video camera. So
Mm-hmm.
when we have a video camera, we do this, we pan it out, and there you are and your audience. So the video camera has functions. One of the functions, it pans out, so it looks and also listens because all the sounds and everything, and then it captures. So that's exactly how our conscious mind is working. So the conscious mind looks,
Mm-hmm.
listens,
Mm-hmm.
and captures.
Mm-hmm.
Between the conscious and subconscious mind, there is a fine line, and it's called the critical factor, which I will come to it in a
Okay.
moment.
Okay.
The subconscious mind is that little chip in the computer, that potent chip. That little chip is almost 87% of our entire mindset. So
Yes.
the subconscious mind stores all that information. Okay. So everything that has been recorded is in there. It
Mm-hmm.
also regulates our entire bodily function without us thinking about it. When we breathe, when we move, when we think, when our pancreas, our heart, our liver, everything is functioning. And the only time we pay attention to it is when something is, there is a discord or
Yeah.
a disconnect, correct?
Right. Right.
Right. And then
Mm-hmm.
the third function is it it goes all the way, just like a video camera. It rewinds, it can
Mm-hmm.
pause, it can remember, and then it can play, and then it can go forward. So just like a video camera, rewind, pause, play, forward. So that's the three functions of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind does not have any emotions. It is us giving emotions to what we think. So the
Wow.
subconscious, if we ask it to do something, it will
Mm-hmm.
do without thinking. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, in between the conscious and the subconscious, there is a fine line called the critical factor that analyzes and judges, criticizes and reasons.
Okay.
Okay? That's how we function.
Yeah.
Everything, it's like this water. I'm
Mm-hmm.
analyzing, shall I drink it? Shall I not? Do I put it here? Do I not? So I'm analyzing, judging, reasoning, criticizing,
Mm-hmm.
all that. is done through the critical factor. So
Right.
the work we do in hypnosis is we relax the conscious mind that looks and listens,
Mhm.
and we go to the critical factor. And as you go into that state, so we open the curtains of the critical factor so we can tap into the subconscious mind, which is the blueprint of all the causation, not the symptoms, in order for us to tap into her without the client or the individual reasoning, judging, analyzing, criticizing. It's like being in a catnap state. You are so deeply relaxed, and yet you can hear everything. That's it.
Right, right. Interesting, interesting. I have to say it's something that I have not. I'm reading about just different things on this journey, and I have not read yet about the methods of clinical
Right.
hypnosis, which is I do want to put that word clinical in there because oftentimes we're thinking about the magic and people being made to do things and so on, but there is we have to look at the science of things, and so go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say there is no magic to hypnosis. You go in and out of hypnosis every single day. Being in here, zoning into this camera, in effect, is being so focused right here, right now, that nothing really matters. Even
Mhm.
if your kids knock on the door at this very moment, because you are so focused over here, in the back of your mind, you're saying, someone is going to take care of it. Either the other kids are going to take care of it, your husband is going to take care of it, someone is going to take care of it. So you're focused. Sitting in a car, the moment you sit in a car, knowing where you're going, in
Yeah.
between getting in
Yeah.
and getting
Yes.
to somewhere, you don't think about it.
Yeah.
So that's your auto state. So
Mhm.
that's why we go in and out of hypnosis all day long,
Right, right. That's
which
interesting.
is, in other words, focus state or trance state.
Yes, yes, that's true. So
Cooking,
let's
ironing.
let's see. I want, how can we start this? So can we define stress, or can we explain what stress is about, or how does it manifest? Because I already see the different layers between the conscious and what we see. For you, it was a symptom of ovarian cyst, but there's, again, we have the critical factor, we have the subconscious
Of
mind. How does that
course.
all work?
So stress occurs whenever there is a change, right?
Okay.
Whenever we are forced to adapt to something, and it can be temperature, cold, it can be something that is happening, stress, the very process of living entails change. So
Right.
it's how we respond to that change instead of react. So we can either react to something or respond to it. So stress has been shown to affect us in many ways, right? It can affect our body, it can affect our psyche, it affects us when we feel it, what happens. It's a physical reaction. The heart starts pumping, the neuromuscular disorders, respiratory. So there's three kinds of stress. One is
Okay.
the physical stress. The physical stress. Second is psychological stress, and the other one is psychosocial stress.
Mm-hmm.
So physical stress involves all our factors that when something is happening to our body and how we are responding to that, right? It's our environment, it's pollution, it's air, it's temperature, it's something outside of us, or an accident and injury, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, the physiological stress is an internal. It's how we feel and how we respond to that stress factor. Does that make sense?
That makes
Okay.
sense.
So studies have shown that we react towards anything that is threatening, the fight and flight. And if we don't know how to respond to that, it stresses us out. So Now, there is a difference between stress, things that happen, and then how we respond to it. It becomes, I feel anxious. It creates anxiety.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, in a way, the example of the roller coaster,
Mhm.
one person reacts to it as a pure joy, especially children, and adults go, oh, right?
That's me. There is no joy in riding a roller coaster for me. But then I have friends that just can't wait to to get on.
Exactly. So,
Hmm.
and that's exactly what I'm talking about, because for some people, getting married is pure joy. For others, it's pure stress.
Not having
Even though
children,
it's a great, even though it's a great occasion, having a
right?
baby,
Hmm. Yes.
it's pure joy, and yet it could be a stressful thing if
Yeah.
things are not going the right way.
Hmm. Hmm.
The person standing outside worried is more stressed than the person having the baby.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true. And so there's such a, from what you're saying, I see that from one individual to another, the response or the reaction will vary. Right?
Exactly.
Wow. Wow.
So it's the response of fight and flight, and then there is the pause.
Hmm.
So when we feel stressed, see, it's a feeling. When something happens, if we were to see an accident, we can, if we see someone fall, we either go, oh my God, and we freeze, right? Or we run because we don't know what to do,
Right.
or we respond by the fight would be to go and take care of them.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, that
So
makes sense.
that's how there is the flight, fight, and freeze.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, as you know, there's been times that something so dramatically happens and the person just freezes there. Or we see people when there is a fight or something and everybody's standing there recording, not doing anything, because sometimes they just freeze. They don't know what to do.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
that's how we respond. So the bodies react very specifically depending how it is.
Right. Okay. Okay. And so, what are some of the, I'm thinking about now reactions that would let us know, maybe symptoms or reactions that would let us know that we are experiencing stress. So there is, the changes, right? As you describe them as changes, the things changing all the time, but for some reason there may be something that affect us more than others, or maybe a compilation of things, or a ongoing situation maybe that
Right.
affects us. So how can we recognize, all of those things, the nice changes that we respond well to, and then the ones that we have those stressful adverse reactions to, maybe?
Well, there are four areas of life experience that are the biggest culprits of stress. One is major life events such as marriage, death in the family, or the health of a loved one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Right.
The second one is the more of the physical, which is job stress, which is physical demands on us, the tasks that we feel overwhelmed and we can't, or not knowing, do I have a job or not have a job? Even through COVID, a
Right.
lot of folks
Right.
have experienced that. So not only during COVID, we had to experience taking care of ourselves, but family members,
Mm-hmm.
the ones who were separated from one another.
Right.
The
Right.
unknown is one of the biggest culprit of stress,
Yes, I can see that.
right?
That makes sense. That
Okay.
makes
So
sense.
hassle, the mundane minor stuff, the hassles that accumulate, and I like to call it that is we suppress, small little minor things that in
Mm-hmm.
relationships, in friendships, in family,
Right.
we don't talk about it, don't say anything. They just, you eat at yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I talk about people who come to me for or being overweight, it's not so much what you eat, but what's
Right.
eating at you.
Oh, wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
things that we suppress versus express. So those are small little mundane minor stuff that we hold it in, and that creates internal um, how do we say it? The stressors are internal
Mm-hmm.
and creates resentfulness,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And
Yeah, that
then
makes
we
sense.
start being aggravated. Oh,
Right.
this is happening, that's happening. That's because it's internal. And
Hmm.
then the rest is just age related things, children's, adolescents, adults, parents, things that we need to deal with their health.
Right, right. Okay, okay. We had a question. I think it goes well where we are now. Lorraine said, "Is it possible to think you are reacting well to stress and yet it is affecting you negatively?"
If we are reacting to it well, and yet it is affecting us negatively.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe, something, a situation, and you say, "Oh, I'm okay. Oh, I can deal with it. Oh, I put it
Well,
aside maybe, but it's still maybe eating at us, like you said."
there's times that it's called um, I'm uh, I'm making myself feel good, and yet
Mhm.
I'm not touching the reality. So, in
Ah,
a way, even in my tagline, where
mhm,
transformation begins, is the method that I use to work with my
mhm,
clients. It's called the 3E factor.
mhm.
How it is, it's like we evoke what was, which is going back to the history, understanding what created the stress or the
Mhm.
discomfort, the
Right,
dis-ease,
right.
right? So until the time we don't bring that to surface and look
Mhm.
at the reality of it,
Right.
because there's so much that can be a perception and not a
Mhm.
reality.
Right.
So one
Yes.
of the best questions is this true? What
Mhm.
is happening? Is this true, or is this my
Right,
perception of what is truth?
right,
Because
right.
that in itself can be a perceived, my perception or your perception, my
I will.
truth or your truth, not
I will
reality.
tell you. I will tell you. I started practicing that. I would say it's been a year now. Saying, "Is it true or is it my?" And
Is this a reality or is this my truth?
right, but it has changed. It has changed so much. It has changed so much in my life and how I react to things. And then
Hmm.
sometimes I get into some, rut or whatever, I realize, oh, I have not been asking this question lately, and I go back to things that I'm thinking about over and over, and I
Right.
stop and I say, okay, is it true? Is it my perception? And if it's not true, what could it be? And it just changes, changes so much. Yes, because we putting our meaning on things. An event or something happened, or somebody says something, and then we put our meaning on it, and we go with it, and then realize later, or that that's not even what the person meant, or that we started having this whole story, and that's not what was going on, or we put things on ourselves, saying, telling ourselves, I'm not worthy, or I'm ugly, or I will never amount to this or to that, just from one comment maybe, of something that we see, and I think you might agree with that our subconscious mind, once we take something in, our mind looks for ways to validate that. So if I
Yes.
say that I'm no good at, I'm never going to succeed at anything, then I'm going to find everything that tells that reminds me that I'm not, you know. So that's just an example, but it just reminded me that how I actually started doing that, and it has changed so much. So I'm glad that you mentioned it.
Of course. And I want you to realize that everything, even our perception, it's
Hmm.
something that we have learned, but what
Yes.
is what we have learned and grew up with. So
Mhm.
my perception is everything I was brought up.
Right, right, right.
Your
Yeah.
perception is how you were brought up.
Right.
Now, which one is the reality? Because I'm right, you're right. Now,
Right.
how do we come to understand which right is best suited for us
Well, that's a
in a
question.
relationship?
How? How? I don't know, because I think that's and if you have the answer, because I think that's where a lot of people, we clash so much, because I think I'm right, and I think what my parent taught me, or what my traditions and so on are right, and then what you're saying over here must be wrong because I'm right. And
Because
so
it's not my way.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
all it is. It's not my way.
Mhm. Right. So being more open. We just
It's
need to be
like
more
that's
open.
that's the best thing in our life, in any relationship. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if it is a marriage relationship, with children's relationship, with parents, friends, colleagues. It's like,
Mhm.
it's called communication.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. And with open heart.
With open heart and expanded mind, you'll be
Expanded.
able to understand. There is the
Mhm.
tribal way. In the old days, it used to
Mhm.
be when the chief, when he
Mhm.
would bring his tribe to sit and talk, what they
Mhm.
would do is, they would have a stick.
The baton, yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you know
The
about
baton
this?
rouge. Yeah, the baton rouge. Yes.
The
Uh-huh.
baton rouge, and they would put the
Mhm.
stick, and if it is facing you, that means you have the right to speak.
Mhm.
Right? First, the
Right.
chief would speak, and
Yeah.
then he would give this to whoever he wanted. And as long as the head is facing that person, they have the right to speak, and no one else can interrupt.
Mhm. Right.
So they feel heard as
Mhm.
much as they spoke their heart or mind.
Right. Right. Wonderful.
And
Wonderful.
then they would go to the next, and then the chief would make his suggestions or
Right, right, for
decisions.
everybody, right. But then you've heard all the different perspective, and oftentimes we talk on top of each other, and we think that that's communication, but really hearing the other person, taking the time to listen and hear, sometimes repeat, think you making sure that you understood, it makes a difference. Yeah, yeah. Well, let's talk about. Go ahead. I think you were
Go
going to
ahead.
say something.
Well, people who are stressed, it also comes, let's say, dealing with family and especially parents. As
Mhm.
adults, we have to, or folks who are getting older, and they are either, they can't hear very well or something like that. It stresses them when they can't hear it. But then the other person who's also working with them, it's like they keep repeating. It's like, can't you hear it? No, it's not their fault.
Right,
So
exactly.
recognizing that sometimes, even though it is stressful, the
Mhm.
child
Right.
is feeling vulnerable because they
Mhm.
don't know how to deal with something that the parent was always taking care of them.
Right, right, right. That's very true. That's very true. My husband is on this crusade. We have to study our children. And I'm like, I just want them to do what I told them to do. I just want them to be obedient. But we have to study. I'm like, but it's
Instead
good.
of study, you can turn it around and say, observe.
Exactly. Yes, observe is good. It's good. Yes, yes. So let's talk about, we talked about, different. I want to give some more examples to the viewers of how, stress can manifest. We talked about with your experience with the cyst. We talked about the anxiety. What else? And obesity also you mentioned. What else could be an issue? The obvious heart attack, yes, but high blood pressure.
Obviously.
But what else? Because I think that, I wouldn't necessarily think about obesity related to stress, right? Or cyst related to stress because it's one organ, it's not. So what else is maybe not so obvious of things that people may be experiencing that they may maybe need to ask that question, is it related to some kind of stress?
Well, it's how we respond to stress, because some people think that if they it's at the end of the day, if they have a glass of their favorite drink, they are de-stressing.
Mhm.
They smoke, they go gamble, they do a lot of, I call the negative ings, which is eating, smoking, gambling, shopping. That's
Mhm.
how we deal with stress.
Right.
And yet we're not realizing what is the culprit of stress. So in a way, stress, when we cannot function well, it affects us. Some people get migraine headaches from stress.
Right. Right. Yes.
Stress can also show up in our physical body, and it
Mhm.
moves. So you can go to the doctor and say, there is a pain in here, and then they check and see, and there is nothing. But then the pain travels here, pain travels there. So that's the psychosomatic part that we talk about. So it affects us um, in many ways. And everything comes down to one: our thoughts,
Mhm.
our
Right.
emotions.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So instead of eating, overeating, and then saying, oh my God, now I'm overweight, right?
Mhm.
And then now I'm ugly. Now I can't fit into anything. Now it's this. We go into this self destructive
Right. Right.
dialogue.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that is worse than coping with something. So when there is, let's say there is an illness and someone suppresses their emotions, they start
Mhm.
eating or drinking or smoking, those are all symptoms.
Mhm.
So
Right.
people who come to a hypnotherapist, they say, I want to stop smoking. Okay, I'm not taking care of so much about the smoking. I'm taking care of why you started smoking.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
That's what it is.
That makes sense. I think we have been, so programmed to focus on again what we see, the external or the behavior. So smoking. We have to do smoking cessation class. We have to do all those things, get the patch, get this and that, and it's not helpful. But at the end of the day, if you haven't dealt with the issue, maybe you stop smoking, but then you start
The root
drinking,
cause.
right? Or you start eating, or you develop a growth somewhere.
Yeah, because a lot of the eatings,
Mhm.
people, it's emotional eating. So when we are stressed, we eat, sad, we
Mhm.
eat, angry, we eat, upset, we eat.
Mhm.
So other than some people say, but I love to eat.
Right. But that also can be tied to some childhood emotion. Why do you love eating so much?
But
Might
that's
be a
that's the
reason.
growing up, how we were brought up. Because
Mhm.
growing up, actually eating is a social thing. Everybody gathers in the kitchen to eat.
Right, right,
So
right.
when we think about it's grandma or mom's cooking, it's the smell of kitchen. So when I work with my clients who come for for weight management, one of the things in my book, the Stand Up to Slim Down, everything is first and foremost is to for you to feel your self-esteem is strong, you feel confident about yourself, that you feel worthy, that if you want to be thinner, that is what you want, and that is going to make you happy.
Right, right.
Because just losing weight and then losing it for someone else, or doing
Mhm.
everything for someone else and still not being happy,
Right,
that's still not a good response, right?
right, right.
So it's when we talk about that emotional eating is how did you grow up? What
Mhm.
was kitchen like? Did you eat with the family? Was there a lot of fighting? Was there a lot of discussion over dinner? So the food,
Right.
every single thing is energy. That
Mhm.
energy about food, about relationship, about kitchen, about anything, even the smell of certain foods affect us.
Right.
Scent affects us. Perfume
Right.
affects us, right? All that is in our psyche and our blueprint. I can just close my eyes and smell a certain
Yes.
food that my grandmother used to make. If I
Yes,
go
yes,
anywhere, I know that smell.
right.
So that's on our psyche.
Right. I have when you talk about smell, I have this thing with smells, memories. So when there are certain smells, certain scents. Even I would see a patient or something, and they're wearing a certain deodorant or certain perfume, and it reminds me of something. Or sometimes I can't put my finger. I'm like, it's bringing an emotion now that I'm a little bit more aware of what. But I can tell, I'm tensing because this person because something about this person. I realize I'm smelling this deodorant, and now I realize why is this scent making me upset? And
Mm-hmm.
then I realize, oh, this person that in my past that hurt me in some way, for example, and I'm kind of going with the example, but hurt me in some way was wearing, had that same scent. And so now I'm tense seeing my patient, and they didn't do anything. And then before, though, I would kind of carry the emotion through the day. Like, why am I so off, throughout my day? And I realized there was a trigger. But now, as I, a bit more aware in the moment, I say, oh, I'm feeling heavy. I'm feeling upset. What is, the scanning, what is triggering it? Oh, it's the scent because it's overwhelming me. Why is it
Yes.
overwhelming me? And I go into and okay, you know, let's calming
It's
down.
not
So
about them, it's about us.
it's not, but I've noticed that, and you just, of course, good, other smell, which can be odd. For example, I always talk about my smell, the airport smell on people. I love it. I know, but it goes back to my childhood with my father coming, from the airport and so on,
Mm.
traveling with
Was he a
work and
pilot?
separation and so on. So I smell somebody, it smells so good. Just go to the airport. It's odd, but and so again, understanding how every single thing, the subconscious is there, right?
Exactly.
Right?
From your childhood, you know that
Mhm.
smell.
Right.
So even
Yes.
our skin, every
Mm-hmm.
skin has a different smell. So when
Yes, that's
people
true.
come together,
Mhm.
no matter how much they like each other, because we are so core innamed with scent, just like
Mhm.
animals. It's an
Mhm.
animalistic thing. You may
Mhm.
not like someone, but it's like you are drawn to them without realizing.
Right.
Or someone you really like, but your inner
Yeah.
sense just cannot stand them. It's like, I-
Mhm.
I want to be friends with you, but something is. So it's never about another person. We have to always think, what is going on inside me?
I like that. It's never about the. We instantly go to the other person. We cancel culture.
We
It's
always point fingers
yes, point the
outside.
finger. Wow, that's so important. That's so important. I had a question. We're talking about healing and people coming to you with different symptoms, and they want to heal that. Can we stress ourselves trying to heal? So let's say I want to lose weight, or I have a disease, or migraines or something, and I want to overcome this so much that I am forcing myself, or I'm making myself, not eat or change my diet and so on. And that change in itself, can that stress us to where it could make things worse, or it's affecting us in different ways?
So I had a client that used to get on the scale
Mm-hmm.
every single day
Mm-hmm.
because she had to be at a certain number, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one day she came in and the husband came in, and the husband says, please do something with her mind because she is driving us, everybody in the family, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That scale, that number affects her, and she makes the entire house miserable. So when we force something, it's not in flow,
Okay.
right?
Okay. That makes sense.
You want this to happen, you become one with it. It's the realizing this is what I want. It's called the law of manifestation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we do it with incantation that we believe it, We want it, we move towards it, and then we do everything to what we want. Sometimes it doesn't happen is because we are forcing it.
Right, right. Yes.
So anything that is forced, this is force.
Mm.
Why
Right,
aren't you doing? How come you're not doing this way? How come you're not doing it? It's like leave me alone,
right. Yeah.
right? But it's like, would you come and do this with me?
Mhm.
Would you please do this? It's like, of course I would, because I want to help. So when we want to drop weight instead of losing weight, because even the words that we speak
Mhm.
has direct connotation to our
Right.
psyche, losing in itself is negative. So what does
Yes.
losing mean? That means I just lost something and I have to feel bad about it or
Mhm.
go find it. And if I can't
Right.
find it, it's going to stress me more because I just can't find it.
I lost it and I can't find it. Wow, that's such a perspective there. When you say I lost weight and I gained it back, right?
Yeah,
I went
that's
back
the
and I
yo-yo
got it.
people I love them who come to me.
Wow, wow,
It's
that's
the
a good
yo-yo weight
one. Mm-hmm.
because it's like, why do I want to first and foremost drop the weight? It's called dropping it, letting it go, or shed. The
Mm-hmm.
best one is to shed or let
Mm-hmm.
go of this weight. Why?
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Because it is too heavy
Mm-hmm.
and I rather be a little bit lighter. I want to tone. I like myself in size 8 much
Mm-hmm.
better than in size 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I look forward to being size 8 because I look better in size 8.
Right.
Instead of saying, oh, because this is ugly, this is that, this is fat, this is this. Now I am doing what? I am creating and adding more stress onto my body. And
Yes.
because the body can respond, every
Mm-hmm.
nerve, every muscle, every organ, every tissue in our body is alive and
Mm-hmm.
hears it, responds to it. And the body goes, watch it. And I'll
Right.
give you some.
Okay.
It's fine,
Yeah,
can
I'll
try.
get back because because it sounds so negative that we lost it,
Not
that
only
that
that,
makes
but
me
I
feel
am fat, I am
that you're
ugly, I am
right.
this, I am that. And the body says, yes, I am, yes, I am, yes, I am.
Yeah, let's beat that. Wow, wow,
So, what
that's
is it that I want in my life, not what I don't want in my life?
yes.
What
Wow.
do I want to be, not what is it that I don't want to feel?
Mm, mm, yeah.
So anything you want to go somewhere, you say, I want to go shopping. You don't say, I want to be backing up over here and yet be there. So it's not what we don't want, it's what we want. So stress, in order for us to eliminate stress, one, be real.
Mm-hmm.
Is this true? Is what is happening? Is it internal? Am I creating this worry and anxiety because it's from the inside? Or
Mm-hmm.
is this happening and how do I respond to this? Because
Mm-hmm.
I can react to it and tremble, or I can respond to it and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I take the worry into a concern because I am concerned about something, that means I can do something about it. Worry is something negative that has not happened, and I'm
Right,
creating it for me. So I am
right,
busy doing something.
right. Nice, nice. So I need to be real. I need to be real. I need to be concerned. Then I can do something.
Right.
If anybody else has questions, Lorraine, share the question with us. If anybody else has questions, please feel free to put in the comments, and we can ask. We can ask Lisa. We How do so when I am concerned, and we talked a little bit about the how we speak to ourselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What are other ways that what are things like these techniques, or how can I alleviate the stress when I see the issue and I am concerned, and how do I progress on the journey? to self-management or self-relief? Or can I say relief?
Well, the self-management is, how do I de-stress?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
There are so many techniques, as you mentioned. Instead of having crutches,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
that, overeating is a crutch, smoking, drinking, those are crutches.
Right.
Find a better habit so
Mm-hmm.
that if you go walking and you are one with nature,
Right.
instead of listening to being on Clubhouse, instead of listening to anything, just shut everything out.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to yourself.
Right.
Listen to the birds. Just be one with the wind. And if there is a wind caressing your skin, just at that very moment, acknowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
anything that is happening, just be mindful and acknowledge. That
Mm-hmm.
being, it's called being present.
Mm-hmm. Can I
Blood
ask you?
work and concentrating on your breath. If
Mm-hmm.
nothing is happening, and I'll give you the biggest secret. Sometimes I go out in our terrace and I sit and I
Mm-hmm.
just watch the sunset or just the view. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom comes and says, "What are you doing?" "Nothing." Now she knows.
Right.
Because doing nothing for
Mm.
5 minutes, that's something.
I have not reached that point.
Ah, just
I
sit,
haven't,
do
and that
nothing.
that's what I was going to ask you, because when you said, go on a walk and listen to yourself, as soon as you said that, I just pictured myself just ruminating on my thoughts. And so on all my worries and
Your
not so
thoughts
much.
are internal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go on a walk and just observe a tree and then concentrate on a leaf. And then see a flower, concentrate on that flower. And then you see a bird, concentrate on that bird. And then you see a house, concentrate on that door, the color of that door. You go to another place, just concentrate anything outside of you while you're breathing in and out. And then you stop. And then you realize, wow, 10 minutes, I didn't think about my own problems.
Mm-hmm.
I was one with everything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm present.
Right. Right.
Okay. So, and as you are walking, here's another way. Every thought that comes, good, bad, right, wrong, black, white, it doesn't matter. Just
Mm-hmm.
say thank you and just imagine, drop it on the floor and walk away. Drop it on the floor, walk away. Every step you take, you are moving forward in
Mm-hmm.
life instead of just being present and getting upset. Thank you, drop. Thank you, drop. Just keep dropping. And you realize that the more you drop, even all that emotion festering inside, you get
Mm-hmm.
upset. Instead of reacting, say, excuse me. You know how we say, time out, don't talk to
Mm-hmm.
me? It's
Mm-hmm.
like doing this, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to turn around and say, even I am busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I create this boundary for me. You give yourself time out,
Right.
not the children, yourself. Most of us forget to have time out for ourselves.
For ourselves. Yes, yes. I can attest to that. Now, you're saying that, and I can say I can do that, but it feels like I would drop it and then go back and pick it up, or
Right.
drop it, but it would seem like it's not resolved.
Do you have to resolve everything?
I would think if there's a problem, you have to resolve it, don't you?
Sometimes we hold on to this stuff and
Mm-hmm.
it festers. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes by just letting things be, it
Mm-hmm.
resolves on its own. And then
Mm-hmm.
if it is something that it's still lingering, then you go and sit
Mm-hmm.
and communicate or fix.
Right.
But if you fix it because you are angry, then
Mm-hmm.
you are more angry if it's not fixed.
Right. Right. Right.
So
That's true.
instead of walking out and banging the door behind
Mm-hmm.
you or at someone, you
Mm-hmm.
walk out and you go, Okay, I'm just going to go for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's communicated beforehand. So that person doesn't say, oh, you're leaving? It's
Right.
like, no, I'm just taking a few moments. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you do. You give
Mm-hmm.
yourself 5 minutes. You
Mm-hmm.
walk out, and then
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes or 10 minutes later, you come back in and say, but that's communicated before. It's like, you know what?
Right.
When
You're
I
not
am
storming
upset,
off.
I'd rather take a break and
Mm-hmm.
I will come back
Mm-hmm.
and then we can continue discussion. I'm not walking out on you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's very
I'm
important.
taking me out for
Right.
5 minutes.
Right. Oh, that's a good way to put it. I'm not walking out on you. I'm taking myself out
Right.
for 5 minutes, and I will come back.
Yeah.
I will come back. That's very good. A nice way to word it. A nice way to word it, because we always say you know, I'm leaving. I'm upset. But it's not. I'm not leaving you per se. I'm taking myself out of the situation for a moment. Because and doing those exercises. Yeah, and you asked me why. Why would I pick it back up? And I think that's been one of my issues, is it has to be resolved. It has to make sense. And so I tend to ruminate on things because, until it makes sense to me, or until it's resolved. But really, it doesn't really get, because I just keep thinking about it over and over and over and over, right? And then it manifests then in the body, because our
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, our emotion manifest in us, and instead of what you're saying, which at first I felt it was like, well, I don't want to ignore the issue. If I drop it and I leave it there, it seems like I just ignoring it, right?
No, what I was talking about, the walking is, we have so many negative thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
And then there's the good thought, and then there is mundane thoughts. But
Mm-hmm.
instead of all that, because sometimes walking, it also helps us focus better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
It's a movement. When we
Mm-hmm.
move, when we dance, we forget about the issue and it releases from the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why when we exercise, even though we're thinking that, I say, please, if you go exercising, please do not listen to the news or watch the TV on the news. Why? Because there is nothing good on the news and
Right.
it's affecting our nervous system.
That's
So
true.
you think you're exercising for something good, but you're inputting all those negative, bad information into your body, into your psyche, into the muscle. And muscle has memory.
Mm-hmm.
But when we go walking and we become with nature and everything that is negative, we drop it. When we drop the weight, we drop the stress, we drop everything, we become clearer to analyze and come to a solution.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Right.
That's why.
I like, yeah, that no, that makes sense. That was my, like I said, my first reaction was, well, if I drop it and I'm ignoring it, but the this release, the stress release, right?
Overload.
And right, and then if there is something that does need to actually be addressed, then you have a different perspective, different
Right.
demeanor, when you're approaching the situation, instead of, like you said, overload, which we feel so often. I want to give anybody the chance to,
Here's one
we're
more thing
coming to
you
the
can
top of
do.
the hour.
When you're walking,
Yes.
put
Oh, tell me.
those three fingers together, which is the mind, the body, and the emotions. You know how that they do the yoga thing in here?
Yes, that's what it
Okay, just
means.
walk around and go like this. Walk around and do
Hmm.
this. So you
How is that?
connect the mind, body, emotion, or you can just snap.
How are
Snap.
those? Is it like a
Snap.
Chinese medicine type of, like, how are
It's
they?
not about a Chinese
No,
medicine. It's the mind, the body, and the emotions. So
the
this is the
representation of
head.
those. Okay.
This is
Huh.
the body. Those are the emotions. And then if you walk around, you can even clap. Have
Mm-hmm.
you ever, a lot of Asians when they walk, they do this. I don't know if you've seen them exercising. They have their hands go and then they clap because
Mm-hmm.
it releases negative energy. So
Mm-hmm.
instead of clapping, I've come up with I walk around and sometimes.
You just snap, right? Huh.
And in the old days,
Mm-hmm.
you are too young to know this, but there used to be a show called Adam's Family.
Yes.
Da 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 dum,
Right,
da da da
right.
dum.
Mm-hmm.
So in itself, when we think about the sound, we think about it, it breaks momentum. It
Mm-hmm.
breaks the sound breaks through things.
Right,
That's why
right.
they say you want to clear a room, you go around
Clap.
clapping all the
Mhm.
corners.
Right. I have seen that done the first time. So I said the first time I saw it done, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because
It,
I didn't know anything about. But and then the person explained to me, how you can, again, because everything being, energy around us, energy fields, and then you're breaking you breaking that negative, energy.
right.
And so we can do that for ourselves because we are walking energy as well as we all know,
Exactly.
and so breaking that, that's a good one. Yeah, I could see myself doing that. Reminded me, yeah, yeah, snapping, or I'm not so good at a snapper, you can't even hear it. But yeah, um, it reminds me something that I do also sometimes when I have a thought, like something negative, like, for example, I'm not capable of, and I tell myself change, and right away I change the rhetoric because I realize, okay, I've been saying this over and over, and when I become conscious of it, aware of it, and I say change, now switching, what I'm saying, so I can, that I
Snap out
can
of it.
just snap out. Yeah, it's where we say that all the time, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's a
So
real,
do
it's a
it.
real
Snap
thing.
out of it.
Right, right, right. That is so true. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Expressions, sometimes we don't know where they're coming from, but for all we know, somebody that knew about energy in the subconscious told us to snap out of it. And it's
There
so
is so
true.
much we use every single day, not knowing how it really can
Mhm.
really help us.
Right, right, right. I love that. Very, very good. Well, I think, is there any other point that you wanted to share with us as we've
What
come to
I
the
would
top of
like
the
to
hour?
share is I would love to give a gift to your audience.
Okay, okay, yes, sure. We always like
So,
freebies.
yes, I would love to give any of your audience who would like to text to 818.
818. I should type that in here.
They can text the word relax
To 818
221
221
2797.
2797. Text relax to 818-221-2797.
And when they
Okay.
do that, automatically all they have to do is they it goes in input, and then if they put their email address in there, they receive an audio recording for them to listen. It is my audio recording. It's a hypnotic thing for them to listen and
Mhm.
just go into a deep state of relaxation for about 30 minutes.
Oh, nice,
And make
nice.
sure you're not driving.
No, that's a good. Please, no, don't operate any heavy vehicle or be
Yes.
responsible for anybody. Make sure you're in a space conducive to
So
relaxation
sit
as you listen to
relax.
the recording. Oh, that's good. That's good. We have one question before we end.
Sure.
Lauren said, "Is stress always negative?"
No, as I said, there's good
Mm-hmm.
stress. Getting
Mm-hmm.
married is a good stress. Engagement is a good stress. And, for some people, taking the bar exam
Mm-hmm.
because they like taking exams is a good stress. For some people, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, even having a baby, there's all kinds of things that it's a good
Mm-hmm.
stress.
Right.
So, and that's called eustress.
New stress. Okay. And when going back to the definition of stress, when you say it changes, changes. So Good
It's
changes.
all change
Yes.
in life.
And how we respond to.
Moving, it can be one of the biggest stressful things, but yet it's realizing, oh my God, yes, it is going to be stressful and everything, but I'm moving to a new house. It's going to be my good place.
Right.
So it's how you look at things in life.
Yes, yes, that's true. Perspective is everything. That's
Yes.
true. Well, we are at the top of the hour. I wanted to encourage anybody who has not subscribed to my channel 39 Down on YouTube to do so. I'm almost to 100 subscribers.
Woo! Yay!
So,
Celebration!
if anybody would like to subscribe or encourage somebody else to do so, so I can hit that 100 mark. And make sure you turn on your notification, drop your comments. If you're watching this
Let's do this,
video,
everybody. Let's subscribe. Come on, let's help her hit
thank
her
you.
100 mark. Everyone who is listening, come on, do it right here,
Subscribe
right
right
now.
now. That's what I should have more of a call to action, right?
That's it.
Thank
We're doing
you.
this together.
Very good. If you're watching on the replay, please also, as Lisa said, please subscribe. And can
Yes.
you share your information to us? How
You
can
can
we
always
reach
find me
you?
at healwithin.com.
HealWithin.com.
That's
That's
right.
that's simple.
And you
Very
can find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Just put my name. You will find
so
all the
Heal
information.
Within or Liza Boubari. And you mentioned a book also.
I have three books that I wrote, and one was co-authored. That was one habit book, and that hit the best-selling list on
Nice,
Amazon. And I
nice.
have three books. I have audio recordings, and I have this beautiful bracelet, which
Mhm.
it says, "Evoke, embrace, evolve, because I
Oh,
matter."
I like that. Okay, okay. And all of that is on Heal Within,
Yes.
healwithin.com. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. That was so informative. I always, the show is definitely not me. I learn as I read and so on, but I always like to bring people who are going to teach me, okay, as we teach others, as we share with others. And
Exactly.
I've learned so much today, techniques for myself, and I can share with others. So thank you. And
By
Lorraine
all means,
said,
I want to say I also offer a 20-minute consultation if there was anything to do that I can be of help. By all means, get
okay,
in touch.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. And thanks, Lisa from Lorraine also said this was great.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Liliana.
Thank you. On this note, this is the end of 39 Down our episode for today. And until next time, live well and love.